Hi, it's Darnell with Wave of Recipes, and today I'm going to be cooking up a whole 12-pound turkey in the Foodi XL Pro air fry oven. And we'll see how it does cooking up a whole turkey right now, and we're going to start off with doing the brining. Alright, so let me show you the ingredients here now for the brine. And basically I'm going to put all the brine in the pot here, heat it up, and you just kind of get it to a very light boil and then stop it immediately once it's at like a light boil. Make sure that everything's well mixed in there, and then gonna let it cool down really well. And after it cools down, then we'll get the brine onto the turkey itself. But the ingredients for the brine are 2 tablespoons of black peppercorns, a 1/4 cup of honey. It's easier for me to pour it out of here than out of like a cup or something since it's honey. 4 crushed garlic cloves. I've got 2 teaspoons of thyme. I've got a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, and I have 2 teaspoons of ginger. You don't really need the ginger. It's just another one that I just threw in there. But if you have some excess ginger, go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and make my brine. And so here is the turkey, the 12-pounder, and my brine. I heated it up and made sure everything is well mixed. But there was one ingredient that I forgot to mention earlier. 3/4 cups of salt. I did get that in there. 3/4 cups of kosher salt. So got that mixed in there, and everything's cooled down really well. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the turkey into this brine bag, and I'll get my brine in there, and then I'll put some cold water, enough to basically cover the top of the turkey. And then I'll get the brine bag into this pan here, and I'll put it all into the fridge. And you basically want to brine for about an hour a pound. So 12-pound turkey, I'll let it brine for, Lord willing, about 12 hours. But after it's brined, and you usually do this type of thing overnight. And so I'll just go ahead, and when it's done brining, we'll come on back and we'll get to cooking. And so now the turkey has brined for 12 hours. Took it out of the brine. I've trussed it with some cooking twine, and I'm going to basically oil and season it with some simple ingredients. I've got a 1/4 cup of extra light olive oil and an ounce of butter melted together here in this pot. I'll just be coating the chicken lightly with that. I also have some black pepper that I'll be freshly grinding. I've got some applewood smoked sea salt, and I'm going to use some Old Bay on this turkey and see how it turns out with some Old Bay on the turkey. So I'm going to go ahead and get it oiled up and seasoned up. And I do want to also mention, as I get this done, I have the turkey on the bake pan with a Copper Chef bake and grill mat lining the pan. And you might be able to find the Copper Chef bake and grill mats in my Amazon shop. That link is in the video description, but I don't know if they have them in stock anymore. But they work out very nice. It doesn't heat things up in the cooker like foil would to possibly cause any excess heat, and they're reusable and really easy to clean and non-stick, so really cool. So now I have the turkey all seasoned up, and just for clarity, I do want to point out that you of course need to thaw the turkey before you brine it, and that's going to take, if it's frozen, maybe about 5 days to thaw in the fridge before you brine it for like 12 hours. Nothing in this video is sponsored, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the cooker. I have a rack on the lowest rack level, so going to go ahead and stick it on in. Got my iGrill 2 meat probes in the breast and the thigh, so going to be tracking temp with those. Make sure this one is, I think I'm going to have to adjust this one here. Going to leave a prick in the meat, but I think that'll be alright. I'm going to have to get a spot in the breast where I can get it in there without hitting bone and without being too high up towards the heating element. So that's cool. That'll be alright. Don't like unnecessarily leaving holes in the meat, but I think it'll get along. So going to turn the cooker on, and we're going to set things to the whole roast. So we're on the whole roast setting now, and going to adjust the time up to 2 hours. We're going to be cooking to temp, so you know, just giving 2 hours to give sufficient time. If it needs more, I'll add more. The temperature I'm bringing down to 360 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I do want to point out and make very clear to everyone, if you've seen the hundreds of videos here on this channel, I am very aware and familiar with carryover. I don't do carryover out of personal choice, just personal choice. All who like carryover, use it. I'm happy for you. But my personal choice, I will be cooking the turkey until the breast and thigh are at least 165 before I pull them out. And so yes, when I let it rest, it will rise, you know, well above 165, and I'm aware of that. And so, you know, each cook should do their own personal preference, is all that I have to say in that regard. But I'm going to hit start. It's a 90-second preheat, so it really doesn't matter. And so, gonna just let it cook until things reach that 165 degree mark, and then we'll pull it out and we'll see how long that takes. So the turkey's been cooking for about an hour now. I'm going to go ahead and open up, and I'm just going to put some foil over the top because the top is getting a nice brown color to it. The meat temperature in the breast is 124, the thigh is much hotter, so we don't really need to worry about the thigh getting, you know, well done. It'll be well done for sure. So I'm just going to put this foil on top. So I've got the foil lightly on top, and I'm just going to see how that does. It doesn't seem like the foil is, well, it is rising up a little bit. I'll have to tamp it down a little bit to keep it from floating up and basically making contact with those heating elements and just making too much excess heat. Alright, so I think I've got it tamped down a little better. And we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, it looks like with that we're not hitting the heating element. The part that is basically over the probe, that probe is sticking up like that, and was always sticking up, but nothing's like floating up into the heating elements. It's kind of close just because of the probe. But otherwise, you know, we're all good. I think we're okay like that. So I'm just going to let it continue to cook like that. This area here, you know, maybe it'll get a little more cooked, you know, a little more brown. We'll see. But we're at 128 now, and we're going to let things keep going. Alright, so things have been cooking for an hour, 38 minutes, and we've hit 165 on the breast. The thigh is much hotter, as I mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the cook, just shut it down, and going to basically get the turkey out onto my cutting board. So here's our completed bird. Looks pretty good to me. You can tell me what you think of it. But I'm just going to let it basically rest for about 5 minutes to reabsorb the juices and such. And I guess if it was not yet to 165 and I was relying on carryover, I'd probably cover it for like 5 minutes of resting time. But I'm just going to leave it kind of open for like, you know, maybe about 5 minutes or so. Then we'll just go ahead and cut on into it. Now that it's rested for a bit, I'm going to go ahead and remove the shackles from this bird, get the cooking twine off of it. And so now we'll go ahead and cut into the breast meat of this bird. So I'm just going to cut right down here. Still piping hot. So let's see if I can just cut this piece out right here. And I will point out any issues with cutting are the fault of the cutter, not the knife. Look at how tender that meat is. That meat is so tender. So that's pretty good. So I'm just going to basically cut a couple pieces off here for taste testing. I guess I'll taste test that one there. But we'll go ahead and taste test now. Alright, so let's taste this turkey and thank God for it. So here we go. That turkey tastes awesome. Tastes awesome. It's super tender, moist. The flavor tastes really good. You know, I've met people who say they don't like the flavor of turkey. If you use a nice brine, like that brine, the flavor of that meat tastes great. I mean, the whole thing tastes great. The outside with the seasonings tastes great. Old Bagel is great on turkey. I can confirm that. It's just great. It just tastes great. That's all I can say is, if you want to make a turkey, this cooker can do it. And, you know, a nice brine, some nice seasonings. It's going to turn out nice. Not even 2 hours. That's great. Not even 2 hours. You know, once upon a time, they were, you know, using the conventional ovens and such. And I guess maybe they were using larger birds even. But even with a 12-pounder in the conventional oven, it probably would take longer to cook it up. So with this one, you know, it's smaller, faster. It uses less energy. There's no reason not to use this cooker to cook up a turkey, in my opinion. So, with all that said, you'll be able to find a link to the full written printable recipe in the video description. Also, plenty of recipes on my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. Also in the video description, lots of ways to help the channel. And so, with all of that said, if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.